I'm known as the Wandering Jew of Las Vegas, and I don't even know if I can talk sitting down, but I've had quite a day, so I'm going to attempt. Is that okay? If I stand, I start walking, and then she has a problem. Well, I know where I came from, doing a lot of weddings today. It's 10-10-10. Why am I here? Because I was invited. And where am I going? I don't know. I haven't talked to my wife yet. Next speaker, please. No. Let me begin with Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah, and then work into creationism, and perhaps a little beyond that. The concept of Kabbalah begins by positing that God's essence filled all space. There was no room for the universe, the galaxies, or what have you. And in order to create the galaxies and universe and this world, perhaps others as well, he had to tzimtzum, he had to reduce, constrict his essence, which was light. So a rabbi, 500-600 years before the Big Bang Theory, said that God placed enough of his essence of light into celestial vessels long enough to create all that we know today from whatever source we know it. But, and I guess only a rabbi could say this, God miscalculated. And so those celestial vessels broke, and they have been moving out into space ever since. If we are created in the image of God, then a part of our essence is that light. Now, in some religions, you know, they paint an aura around the saints and the like. The Russians in the 50s, there was an article in Life magazine about experiments of measuring light emanating from the human head, differing between happiness, joy, sadness, fear, and the like. I remember that because I was tremendously influenced by Kabbalah, this belief that all that is existed from the beginning of time. There are rabbinic legends that tell us that male and female are joined in heaven and separated just before being sent to earth, with the challenge of being able to rediscover one another and become a soulmate for their beloved. So that gives us a sense then of, I would imagine, creationism. For the Jewish mind, the story of the creation of the world and many other stories speaks in our tongue, our languages, meaning that God has no concept of time. If that be so, it doesn't matter whether we evolved from apes or we didn't, because God created those essences that ultimately produced you and I. So there's no contradiction here. Aside from that, in Genesis it says Bereshit. It's an indefinite article. It means in a beginning. And the rabbis postulated that God has perhaps created many worlds and many different universes, each with a different slant on the basic creative process. That's why I loved Avatar, because they had their tree of life, which was the light of the ancestors, and they had their tree of knowledge, which was their sense of community and belonging and learning from one another. So that is where essentially we came from. That we all emanated from one source is taught by the rabbis to represent that if we're from one set of primordial parents, then we can't claim supremacy over another set. And that is the purpose of the creation story being told the way that it is. We got our stories from all the surrounding civilizations and societies. Our emphasis of life after death came from the Egyptians. The creation story came from the Babylonians and Persians, and probably were not written until the time of Babylonian captivity. We as Bedouin nomads, knew our folk tales of our origins with patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but once we were able to explain our origins, we went back to explain the nature of man. For Judaism, taking from the creation story of paganism, where humanity is an afterthought of the gods, only here at their whim, only for us to serve them. And in Judaism, humanity was placed as at the epitome of the creation process, even better than angels who were no more than messengers, because we had the ability to think and to reason and to create as God created. And that is the Jewish interpretation of the Garden of Eden. It wasn't the first sin of humanity. It was humanity saying, hey, God, either you made a mistake or you need to correct things, because we're zombies. You created everything. There's nothing for us to do, and yet you gave us the power to create. All we have to do is walk around this beautiful garden all our lives. And so he said, you don't want it that way? Then here's an imperfect world. And we were then shutafim. We were partners with God to bring back the elements that would recreate Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. But coming from the Fertile Crescent, we could not claim that our way was the only way. And so God is said in Judaism to have made many covenants with many different peoples, all of which are helping in that process of bringing God's kingdom to earth. God, I still have time. I'm looking to make sure that I'm the purpose of life, to walk, to do justice, to walk humbly, and to love the Lord your God. The words of Micah the prophet. Bingo. I could go on, but I'll wait for the questions.
The last time I was here, this podium was right there. I feel so well protected tonight. Quran says about creation, God Almighty created heavens and earth and all that is between them in 6 days. After that, He settled on His throne. He did not rest because God Almighty Allah does not need rest. Neither does He beget, nor is He begotten. There is nobody before Him, there is nobody after Him. The heavens and earths were joined together, and before that, God cleaved the heavens asunder. Can you hear me now? Okay. It is He who created night and day. The heavens we have built will be expanding. God made every living thing from water. These are the expressions of creations from the holy book Quran. According to Quran, humankind existence started long time before we were born. Our spirit is from God and we do not perish. Then God informed the angels that we have created a vicegerent on earth who will have dominion on earth. And this vicegerent, the human being, is made from the best of the statures. Quran says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have made you from the best of the molds. With this, we have the power to choose, the intellect to decide between right and wrong. With this great power comes great responsibility. We will be accountable for our actions. As we live in spirit inside the human body, we will be experiencing emotions of lust, happiness, peace, and anger. Once we reach a stage when the spirit leaves the body, that is the state of death. That is the state of resting, where Muslims believe the body will rest in the grave, and after that will come the day of resurrection, where we will all be raised and we will be accountable for our actions.